So the first one on the far left is was like kind of running with the idea that we talked about in class the other day. And I felt like it was not dynamic enough for me.
Sure.
So I started kind of thinking about different poses and pushing them.
I think the question, okay. This one he's snoozing, right?
Yeah, he's like sleeping on top of the teacher.
What's happening here?
He is, it's one of those things where it's like he knows what he's doing and he's just enjoying it.
Here? Oh, okay.
Yeah. Yeah, like he's sitting on the teacher and it's not like a, oh, I didn't see it down there. It's like, no, I meant to do this type of energy about him.
So it's probably out of these. It's probably this one, right?
Yeah, I like that one. I felt like it was the most different.
Now, what's going to be around him?
So I had a lot of ideas for the stuff around him. So for the sleeping one, I thought it'd be kind of cool if it was like a class nap time, or all the kids started going to sleep after seeing the gator fall asleep.
That makes sense.
So I was thinking about maybe the kids are like, crowded around the composition, and the teacher is just frustrated because she's underneath the alligator. And for the background, I was looking at reference of preschools and like elementary schools and stuff like that. And I really like the floor patterns they have with the foam floor things. It looks like puzzle pieces, and they like put them together and put them on the floor. You know what I'm talking about?
It was like, yeah, the foam things.
Yeah, I was thinking about those and like sleeping bags and like maybe some like tables, some turned over chairs, maybe showing that like, the kids maybe went to sleep before they cleaned up the room type of deal. I wanted it to be a kind of a messy environment.
Okay, all that sounds good. I think he probably can get more stylized, yeah?
Yeah. Yeah, I can do that.
And then I think the teacher, should probably have her head cocked this way and be kind of like looking up at him like annoyed, right?
Yeah.
But have her head cocked a little bit looking over. Huh?
I was afraid of doing that. I thought about it, like she'd be looking at the gator, like, what are you doing? But then I thought like you couldn't see her expression. So how would you convey her emotion through body language at that angle?
Well, you would see her emotion.
Would you?
Well, I mean, her head's sticking out right here.
Yeah, but like for her to turn at the gator and look at him, like the head would be going off his face.
Have your head cocked, like cocked and looking over.
Okay, I got you.
It's not like for him to see her expression. It's just like exasperation.
Okay, I'm following.
And her eyes got to be looking up over at him and sort of just annoyed. Is there anything knocked over? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I mean, if you have the kids in there and everything, I mean, if I put anything knocked over, I wouldn't overdo it, because if you have the other kids back here where they're all snoozing, I remember that too. I hated that nap stuff.
I did too.
It was weird, like going to sleep in a public place. It was weird.
Yeah, there was a lot of kids in my preschool that kept wetting themselves when they slept too. It was like, why do you guys allow them to do this?
Because the teacher wants a break. Probably what it is.
Yeah,
I didn't need to go to sleep.
It's like, right, I wanted to play. We'd have our like little playtime for like 20 minutes, and then they'd bring us in and we take like a 45-minute nap, and I never understood it.
And then this kid, you might want to, I don't know, you can play around with how you want to stylize him. And the kid's got his hands up here like he's digging it.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, I like that. That's good. Yeah, and then his feet could be here. Okay. Start refining. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Do you want me to start including the background in the sketch, like
Yeah,
the
everything.
walls and stuff?
Start
Okay.
refining. Start going to refine it. By next week, I want to have these things refined so we can start painting.
Okay, cool.
And today, I think I said last time I would, but today I'll put up the transfer thing so you can just start seeing that.
Yeah, what I was thinking was I can do the sketch digitally and then print it and then transfer it onto the watercolor paper. Is
Yeah.
that viable?
Yeah, you can do that. The only thing I'd say
Okay.
about, and now it depends. It just depends how you want to do it.
Okay.
I like to get my construction lines and all that kind of stuff in it, or my
Yeah.
like loose lines and some value and all that. But even if I did do it digitally, then I'd probably print it. I'd probably print it backwards. This is how I would do it. You don't have to do it this way.
Yeah, I print it backwards so when
I
you do
print
the
it
tracing paper
backwards. I do
thing,
a final drawing on
okay.
paper of it.
Yeah.
And then I'd probably really work into it and sort of refine it. And I'd probably put 2 sheets of a trace between the final and the drawing I'm drawing on, or the paper
Yeah.
I'm drawing on. So it obscures it a little bit. So then I have to do one more final pass of drawing, and then I can flip that and transfer it.
Okay, because what
Now,
I was
the
thinking
other way
was,
you can do it is if you like the drawing you have digitally, then you could just light table it. Right?
yeah.
The only problem I have with, and it's not that you can't work loose. I do not, just don't do that thing that I always see in character design where everything gets super stiff and the poses get all stiff and the drawing gets all stiff and the line work gets all stiff. Don't do that.
Oh no, what I was thinking was doing like a type of gesture drawing with the background established on digital and then transferring it onto the paper and then doing my final line work there.
I mean, because I had a meeting. I started dicking around with this just about 15 minutes before we started it. And the ones for when I'm doing this kind of stuff, at this point, I'm just looking for some shapes. So I'm just looking for these really rough shapes, right?
Yeah.
Then I started going here and kind of liking that shape a little bit. And then I started liking this one a little bit. And then I like this where his mouth got pushed back a little bit.
Yeah.
And then I wanted to get him a little dorkier and more kids. And then I started thinking about props and all that kind of crap. Okay. And then, so it was this shape, and this shape that I've been playing with. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
He was a little too serious here. This one I started to like, you know, and then, but you can see how rough they are. And all I'm trying to do is just throw down stuff and get poses and shapes and all that stuff. Right.
Yeah.
And I don't care if it's like balanced yet or any of that kind of stuff. I just got to find those shapes and I just got to find my basic poses. And I'm not even finding the poses yet. I'm just throwing them into poses and trying to figure them out. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And they're loose. I mean, I don't, you know, once I start figuring that out and I go, okay, I kind of like this, then I'll start getting a little more like, okay, that pose is kind of funky. I need to fix that and I don't even fix it at that point. I just keep redrawing it. Does that make sense?
Okay. Yeah.
And then as I get to where like, ooh, okay, this is pretty good. This is starting to be my pose. Then I might throw the trace over it and start to actually refine that particular pose. Right.
Yeah.
But up until then, it's a bunch of scribbling, you know?
Yeah. Okay. Awesome. Thank you so much.
I mean, all of it, to me, every part of the process is fun. I like that part because this part now, because it's it's the next level of like really loose drawing.
Yeah, this is my favorite part where like you go in and start to just play around with the line work and the shapes and stuff before you punch it in for the final.
Yeah.
I really like this part.
Where's Alin?
I'm right here.
Okay, this is the one where she's looking out the window. What's happening right here?
I added in the when you mentioned like she could be instead like, well, the thing with the coffee cup, I can't really remember exactly what it was, but
the coffee cup was just it's very obvious that she's dropped something and that it matters and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, that was what I was trying to add in from the last time you told me. and I was trying to play around and figure out how I could d- like display emotion of what she's feeling at the moment was just like showing her back. Well, I was trying my best on that because it wasn't really that easy to be honest, but
Well, none of this stuff's easy. I think you
yeah,
might make this window a little bigger so you can get them a little bigger,
yeah,
right? Might pull this
yeah,
over. I might put like maybe a lamp or something here,
yeah.
and then you could probably even go, maybe there's a curtain here. You don't want to block the window or anything. Then I try and
Yeah.
get them a little bigger, maybe. And then what's this arm going to be doing? This one here.
It's kind of like well, uh to be honest, I can't really say exactly, but it's just like another like sort of it's a okay, I don't even know to be honest.
Okay, so you need to know, right?
Yeah.
What if she?
Look, what I always do, and I probably said this already, I get up and pose them out, right? Like if I
Yeah.
go, whoa, and something startles me and I drop my glass, what's my other arm doing? I just pose it out, right?
Okay.
To me, it could be, what happened here? Oh, there it is. So what I like to do is I might just go, is it down here? And I just run through a bunch of things. Is it, the hands up against the face? Like the oh my kind of thing, right?
Yeah. Yeah, that could work.
Is it down here where it's just kind of thrown out? That one could work. Just got to get the gesture right. And then this hand. What's this line right here?
I was I think I put there like a bookcase or something.
I think for now I'd get rid of that. It's confusing
Okay.
because it looks like she's opening a door with that other hand. And then again here, I just do a bunch of rough passes over it and go, is her hand down here and she's dropped the coffee cup? And I don't know, right? What kind of dress does she have on? I like this big bow.
Yeah, it's from the apron that she's supposed to be wearing.
Yeah, that's good. All that's good. So it's just all about really conveying this emotion here. I think once you get that, the rest of it should fall into place pretty good. Yeah.
Yeah, sounds good.
And I don't know if you need that. Who knows? You got to populate the room with something though.
Yeah. Yeah, I can see that.
She's got a record player here, a couple of records. I don't know. I just always think about, what's going to be in the space. Yeah.
Yeah.
But the main thing is let's get that figure figured out. Yeah.
Yeah.
You're kind of doing it here. You got that hand up to the face like that. I just want to know what this hand's doing. I want to know what both these hands are doing actually.
All right.
But this, like right now, it sort of feels like she's going like this. It's got to be a real instant read of like,
Okay.
Whoa, and
Yeah.
I dropped my thing.
Yeah. Yeah. I understand that.
Kind of something here too. I might play around with that pose a little bit.
Okay. Well, and that's an alternative one, but I
Yeah,
did.
and by the way, it's like once you read that she's just sort of surprised by it, doesn't have to be overwhelmingly shocking. It's just like, what? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Okay. So let's nail the pose down.
Okay.
And I'd start figuring out exactly what's in that room, even if you're just roughing it out. So we can just start going. To me, once you get to the rough phase or you got it roughed out, then it's not that big a leap to finish it.
Yeah.
Okay, these are good. Where's Benton? Is he here? Benton. Okay.
Yeah, I'm here. Sorry, I was muted.
Why does it always take everybody so long to react? Like everybody does that.
I just forget that I'm muted.
Unforget.
I'll do
Sorry
my
about
best, Mike.
Okay, Benton.
Yeah.
Okay, so now you're starting to stylize. That's good. Now be careful here. And if I have these digitally, or even if I scan them and they're pencil drawings like the ones I just showed you, because that pose feels a little weird.
Okay.
So whenever I have to ask myself, like, what's going on with that leg or something, then it's probably something wrong.
Yeah.
What's he doing here? Like, I get what he's doing here, but what's his hand doing?
That other hand is just holding them up. I figured the one hand, the one claw is up, trying to get like a shake from the teacher. Should I invert those so it's the other one that's to keep that silhouette kind of broken?
I'm gonna
Red-
hang on. I want to see what I kind of know, but so they always do that. Let's see. Yeah, they always do that. This
Yeah.
with that little bent thing.
But dogs also have longer legs than Crocs do. So
Yeah, but you can
yeah,
all that.
yeah,
I mean, shape wise, you can go do whatever you want.
yeah. Do you think I should switch the legs so that the one that's raised is actually on the outside, so it breaks that silhouette a little bit?
Probably. I think
Okay.
it might look less awkward.
Yeah.
Hang on. A lot of times I just tear these up in Photoshop. This is still going to be awkward, but it's going to look more, even though this looks weird right now, it's going to look, you can see it's going to look more right.
Yeah. Yeah.
That looks better.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's an easy swap for me.
Yeah. And then it's got to be that sort of,
You want the foot up a little bit more.
they do this kind of thing where they sort of do that,
Yeah.
because, and we're not trying to make it exactly like a dog. We got to find some happy medium, right? And then this one, could this just get more? I might even give that a little more of that little weird, or I might just go, yeah, like thick
Okay.
with the leg or whatever. And then this, okay, he's wagging his tail. That's good. Get a nice big read on that too. Yeah. See, that's starting to work, right?
Yeah.
If you're working on them digitally, man, or like I said, even if it's What do I do with that? Oh, there it is. Oh, shit. Hang on. And then maybe it's more those little weird alligator arms. Like I like to give them this big shape, kind of like that. You know, however it is.
Yeah.
Get them a little more girthy. I'd kind of figure these out a little more. Like, you know, they have this, and that's up to you if you want to use that. They have this sort of big thing under their necks.
Yeah, I was playing with like different head shapes and like longer tongues or shorter tongue.
Yeah, I think it should be sort of, they kind of hang
there,
down
yeah.
like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then for me, what started getting a little bit fun to me was this eye thing, like getting the eyes up and having that stuff built around them.
Okay.
I mean, that was just, you know, what unlocked it for me. And then this sort of coming out and that snout. And then what I started liking to do was sticking the mouth sort of way back here more. You know what I mean?
Okay.
I mean, that was just what was starting to work for me. Now he's getting a little too fish-like. But that basic shape, I started playing around with. You know, and then I might hate it by tomorrow. But it started giving me something to start with.
Okay.
So once you get like something going on like this, then you can start, you know, playing with it and refining a little bit. You know, how big is that snout? So I was looking at different pictures of them. And I think some of them I pulled up were Crocs, because I think Crocs have a more of a like a thin snout kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Is probably. And I also might go, I always play around with this. Like, should it be up more like that?
Ooh, that looks so much better. And all you did was like tip it like 10 degrees.
That's what 90% of this stuff is. That's what I want you to get, right?
Yeah.
Is that a lot of this stuff is very simple little nuancy things, right?
Yeah.
And now he's starting to read a little more like what he's supposed to be, right? And
Yep.
a little less squirrely. Because like if you look here, it's feeling a little bit like he's doing this.
Yeah.
All right. See, yeah, okay. And then this is good. You know, eventually, you know, refine. Right now, I know you're in the stage of refining. So everything we're doing, like now, if, you know, like with you, you've got, or Andrew or whoever, you sort of got your marching orders, and now it's about refining, right?
Yeah.
And I hope you guys can see why I like to spend a lot of time on this front end. Yeah?
Yep.
Because if I don't, everybody's painting half-ass work. Not everybody, but you know what I mean?
Yep.
And refinement is so important with everything you do. And the better you get at your drawing, the better you get at your sketching, the faster that refinement goes. But you need to put the time into the refinement, because then you can polish the hell out of it in the final, right?
Mm-hmm.
If I work all this out. That's why I like to work in pencil to super loose, because I can always refine that stuff, you know? I can just throw a piece of trace over and start refining it. Okay, good. You got any questions?
Not really. I think
Okay.
it's just a matter of just getting it polished up a bit.
Uh-huh. You know, and then making sure everything in the rooms, you know, and all, but well, you got that mostly here. Okay, what's going on here? Hang on. Where's Chris?
I'm here.
Where you at? Oh, there you are.
I'm here.
Okay, I think, okay, you're getting a lot of, and okay, so here's where it gets tricky for me, because some things are sort of stylistic issues, and I don't really want to change anybody's style, but having said that, there's certain things where I'll go, I don't think that is a stylistic issue. I think it's a drawing issue, a design issue, whatever it is. Does that make sense?
Okay.
Does that make sense?
What like
Okay, so like we got a lot of angularity here.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? I think I'd soften that up.
Okay.
How old is this kid?
Yeah, I'm not sure.
You know, he could have the bigger, gawkier ears. See, I'm kind of seeing him as like elementary school, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, what kind of eye shape do I want to make? Probably soften that up. Nose probably is okay. And then, you know, I'd probably pull this chin in a little bit. Make sure it lines up. I'd probably give him a skinnier neck because younger kids usually have those skinny necks, right?
Uh-huh.
Maybe a little soften that up a little bit.
I'm in class. Hold on.
Maybe. Could have a baseball hat on. Just trying to find things to make him look pretty kid. Is this a hoodie?
Yeah.
I'd get it more hoodie-like. Get a big, nice fold right there. If it's a hoodie, these things have, you know, some nice folds on it. Get that dark in there. Probably get a pull fold in here. This I can get a little bit beefier with. There's sometimes they have those pockets right there. Then they have this opening right here, and sometimes they have, I'm going to pull this just right here. Get rid of this. Oops. And I'd probably put the little string things they get right here with the little bead on them. Leave that. I'd leave the hoodie open. And the reason being is then I can put a different color on the t-shirt. It's separated. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. Yep.
Yeah, you know, hat and all that stuff, that's up to you. I don't know why hats just feel young to me, even though everybody wears them.
Is that why you wear a hat, Mike?
Yes, makes me look youthful.
As long as it's not a red one.
Huh?
As long as it's not a red one.
What's a red one? What does that mean?
Well, you know,
Problem.
political.
Oh, is it? Oh, oh, I know what you're saying. Okay. You know,
I don't
really.
want to say it, you know.
Huh?
I don't want to say it.
I get it. I know what you're talking about.
It's okay. He wears a magic hat and he puts his materials in the hat and then he pulls it out later like that bag from Harry Potter.
That's right. Andrew is extremely right. Okay, and get all that worked out. This, he's going to have those, all that crap on it. And I know you're working. Okay, so now the same. So see how we kind of plus that up a little bit?
Oh, yeah.
You know, and I could go a lot further. But I think you get the point. It's just all about refinement. Do you guys see that? Like you can go over almost any rough if it's just got a good little bit of good bones to it. And you can just plus it, okay? Same thing here. I give them more personality. I'd loosen this stuff up a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's some cool things going on in here. I like this. I might push that a little bit. I definitely push this.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
Make sure that tongue is, sometimes I pull I mean, you don't have to, but sometimes I'll pull the bottom lip out a little bit.
Hey Mike, I don't mean to like intrude or whatever. Could you check the chat? I sent you a DM.
Is it urgent?
Yes. Quite.
It's coming from who? Amelia? I don't see it.
Okay, then I'll explain on voice. I went to the ER this morning and I think I need to again. Could you do my critique real quick after this one?
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know it's not in there. Get this one. Okay, now be careful with these hands. They're starting to get kind of really human-y.
Yeah.
And I'd figure out, they have these little tiny hands. See what I mean?
Smaller hands. Yeah. Yeah.
So I just kind of try and in my brain go, what would those arms look like if they're extended? Because I've drawn them at the zoo a few times. Well, quite a few times probably. Gosh, damn it. Hang on. Get a little bit of texture on there. At first I'm just trying to get the big shapes in here. Yeah.
Like it. Yep.
Love that going out of frame. And then I might push these eyes even more so I can get this little break of the silhouette. Does that make sense? I might really push the cheeks maybe a little bit.
Right.
I mean, all those stylistic choices are your choice, obviously. I'm just making and then I just keep adjusting. And I might even go, I don't know if this will work at all. I might even have him looking at the viewer, doing a side eye thing. That's an old movie gag, but I like that. But that's up to you. And if you don't think it makes sense, that's fine too.
Okay.
Okay, so we're just plussing up a little bit, right?
Perfect.
So this is what I really want to talk about tonight is just this idea of starting to throw it down, then refine a little bit, throw it down, refine. And it's just this shaping, polishing process. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I've only got a few refinements at this point. So yeah, I'll just keep going for sure.
Yeah. So, and then I'd probably give this a little more breathing room. As long as it, ends up at 11 by 17, like you can give it, as long as you keep the ratio, then you can pull it back down to 11 by 17, but you got a little more breathing room. It feels like it felt a little tight because it feels like I want to see sort of the end of his back end here. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
That's two. Yeah. And then this could come down. I'd make this tray probably a little bigger to sort of define it a little more. Sometimes when you're doing these things, you got to make things a little heftier and a little fatter to give them a little bit of sort of weight and also to sort of push the stylization a little bit. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But you can see how just making that tray bigger helps it a little bit. Right. And then like this box, I might even do these little milk things,
Right.
and you can put milk on it or whatever. But this one just has a little more personality than this one, right?
Sure.
And the apple, I'd make a bigger statement.
Yeah.
Again. And that's it. Probably make these eyes a little darker on top. You want to give the eyes, you can keep them really simple like that, but you want to give them enough where they're what's the word?
More
interesting.
dimensional. Yeah.
Just enough interest. Yeah, intentional, all that. Could even throw a little bit of shadow on top of his face because he's got a baseball hat on. Give him a little bit of tone on his nose. Oops. Way too much. Hang on. Then I'd have to reinforce that, what I just lost. So on and so forth. And in the illustration, I might give those cheeks a little bit of warmth. Maybe he has the mascot from his school on here. And there you go. All right. So I got to stop screwing with that. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Thanks a lot.
What happened? That's weird. Huh. Okay.
Hey, Mike.
Drawing straight alligators right here?
Yeah, but then I don't know, because like for mine, he's coming out of the window, so you don't really see much of the body. So I was like, I should just focus on like trying different faces, I guess.
I wouldn't think like that. I would just draw them.
Okay.
That's what I do. I'm like, I don't think like, oh, I'm only gonna draw this part. I just go. Another thing too is I'd probably have this. Man, that's annoying when it does that. Hang on. Dogs get crazy when they have their eyes out or their heads out the window.
Okay.
I might pull this snout out a little bit.
Okay.
So I'd probably, and then their back jaw goes up like that, which is great. Again, I might put the cheekbone in there, but I'd have this mouth like really open with that tongue hanging out. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
And then I'd see the paws right here hanging on, right?
Okay.
Then make sure, did you look at a school bus?
Yeah, I did. Like I looked at a bunch and like tried.
Make sure that you find the school bus of the mind. Does that make sense?
No, not at all.
It means find the one that looks like a school bus as we all think of a school bus.
Okay.
There's a reason why you always see that same kind. I might even pull this up more. get this right. I'd get this angled. So this bus, because right now it's a hill. Let's see if it's maybe,
It was kind
maybe
of
if I see this, but I don't see the rest of the hill because it's, you know, it's going, and I don't see it.
okay.
You know, like if I'm doing a long, it's sort of like this. It's different, but it's the same. I'm doing, you know, this thing going off into the distance. I'm going to have the road going and then, you know, come back up here and then here. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So they're not, you know, they're disappearing here, which makes more sense as they go into the distance. And it's the same thing. So if I have the bus coming up here, I kind of want this to dip off.
Okay.
So that gives it reason to be leaping, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then the same thing. Really, you're hanging around the outlines of these a lot. You see that?
Yeah.
I think you'll have more success if you go. You know, really think of the construction of that head. You know, they have this big, I was just looking at pictures of them before class because that's when I was using. They have this big thing like, I mean, you can stylize it however you want. But they have this big sort of thing like that under their neck. Sometimes when people stylize them, they'll use it. Sometimes they don't. You know, and then if I go and I look at other people's designs, I'll find a lot of the same similarities because they're looking at the same reference. They're looking at alligators, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, I could put the mouth way back here, which is what I've been doing. You know, I've done some that are slimmer, you know, where it's more snouty. Maybe the eyes are a little different. Maybe an underbite, you know, there's a bunch of different ways to stylize it.
Okay.
This one's getting a
I'll
little
do
too close to
couple pages.
this one's getting a little too close to Eric Goldberg's version. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So now you got to take, and don't hang out on these outlines. Draw through this form, you know?
Okay.
Like one of the main things that is super important whenever you're doing these things is that you're just going right through these forms, nice and loose. Let me pull that back. And then, you know, I don't have to put that big thing under his neck. I could leave it whatever. I just try a bunch of crap and some of it works and some of it doesn't. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And then, yeah, so just get those things worked out. I mean, you have your idea worked out, so you're halfway there. So this.
Do you want like this weekend, like it fully fleshed out and
I want
like
it as fleshed out
transferred
as you can get it by our next class.
Wednesday? Yeah,
Yeah?
okay. And then do you want it transferred or no?
No, I want to see it. But next week, I
Okay.
want to be able to start transferring.
Okay, sounds good. Thanks.
Okay.
I'm gonna dip if that's all right.
Okay. And you guys, this kind of thing. Might play around with some of these. I might chub it up a little bit. I might make the tires really small in relation to the bus. I might do the old school front end thing. They have these little lights right there. Curved roof. They'd have a little thing up here. Windshield wipers. The other side. You know, and then I can come in here and start to see what I'm gonna Doesn't need this third wheel. And that's one idea. And this should actually come forward a little bit. They have these big fenders, so on and so forth. And I'd start taking these and really chubbing them out or whatever I'm going to do. Does that make sense? Yeah. Flaring them. Just, just try all sorts of things. Okay. That makes sense. And by the way, don't do that thing. Sometimes people do. You tell them that, and then they come in and they have this or something like this. Like they'll have this bus like this. Actually this could work, but they'll have something that's just weird. And you go, what'd you do that for? And they're like, well, I'm just trying these shapes. It's like, okay, but that doesn't really make sense. You know what I mean? It's got to have some purpose or point of view or whatever. Okay. You guys know you have Friday through Monday off, right? Okay.
Mike, does that mean I have to approve my time card on Thursday?
I don't know. Who's doing that?
Me. I'm a tutor. I'm hired by the school to
I
tutor.
know all that, but who's handling your thing?
I'm not sure.
Who do you hand it to?
I just turned it in on the My Gateway thing. There's like My Gateway, and then there's just like the
Well, you're
little
not going to
section.
have a class on Friday, so I would assume that means.
Wait, Andrew, you can just say you're a tutor and get paid by the school. I'm down for this.
No, I'm an actual
I know,
tutor.
I know. I'm just giving.
It's like, actually, there's a few students in here who I tutor for. Where are you people? Ian, I tutor for Ian. I tutor for Natalie.
Yeah, I see.
Yeah, there's Elana.
Hand it in
tutor for
early.
Elana.
That's what I would do. Cynthia,
Yes,
what do you
Hello.
think? What do you think?
I like it so far.
I'd flesh out this guy a little more. Yeah?
Okay. Yeah.
Because you want to have, how much watercolor have you done?
I've done some.
Okay. You have done some, right? Haven't I seen it?
Yeah,
And they were good, right?
I hope so.
You just want to have enough meat on the bone there to make it good, right?
Yeah.
And again, like, can we get some shapes in here maybe to break these shapes a little bit? I don't know what it is, but you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just to make it just enough, because I don't want to push it too far outside of what you're doing, but just enough to make the shapes a little interesting.
Okay.
Are you going to put like that heavy stuff they have around their eyes here?
Yeah.
Okay, that's all up to you. Everything else looks pretty good. So is it this one?
Yeah.
Okay, good. I like that one.
Okay.
Any questions?
Not really.
You should pretty much start going to your final.
Okay.
Like I would blow this up or however you like to work, and I'd start, because we can always refine that too, right?
Yeah.
Like I would say work, you're going to work on pencil?
Yeah. I was
Um,
actually going to do it first digitally and then transfer it
Okay.
over.
Why is everybody so afraid of pencil?
I got you,
It's
Mike.
scary.
Don't worry.
What is it, Cynthia?
It's scary.
No, it isn't. By the way, I've seen you work with pencil. You're really good.
How
Yeah.
is it scary?
No, it's
I think
because I'm so
pencil,
used to doing digital now. It's like
there's a danger in that.
I'll do it pencil. Yeah.
You need to just, I'm not, and by the way, again, I'm not saying don't do digital. I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying make sure you're staying in touch with both.
Right. Okay.
I was just listening to an interview yesterday with this art director guy, right? And the guy's got skills. He art directed Iron Giant. He's done a bunch of stuff. But and they were talking about that, and they go, God, there's a whole generation, because he's, you know, I don't know how old he is, but he's older, right? And he goes, it's kind of interesting. He goes, if you took half of these hotshot digital concept guys and took them up plein air painting or whatever, he goes, do you think they could even do that? And the guy's like, no. You know what I mean? He's like, they don't know how to do that. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And there's a danger in that, because I just believe that your skill set is much broader and much more informed if you're doing both. Okay.
Yeah.
And these are just pencil, right? These are pencil and paper, right?
Yeah, it's pencil.
Yeah. See, what are you worried about? Don't even think about that stuff. Drawing's drawing, man.
Yeah, it is.
The only thing that I really like about pencil, and you guys will, you know, land on your own techniques and stuff. But one thing I always used to do, even when I drew, because I drew with nothing but pen for like probably 15 years, I don't know. But when I went to something organic, like a character-ish thing or something like that, I would jump back over to pencil because it's such an organic tool.
Right. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I could do so many cool things with it. Okay, so you know what you're doing, right?
Yeah. Thanks, Mike.
Okay. Getting closer here. Where are you at?
I'm here.
Is it Dominique? Yeah, it's Dominique. Okay.
Yes.
He's getting a little lost in there. Do you see that?
Yeah, I noticed that. I don't know. I thought I'd fixed it like after everything looked okay.
And again, I think he's got to be more, I think that posture has to be pretty crazy. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like it has to be very presentational. Sort of more like that. And then this hand, this eye, in my opinion, because he's going to care what the audience thinks too. So he'd probably be looking at the audience.
Okay, yeah.
Oops.
Yeah, that looks better.
Might put a little bit of the other side of the mouth right there.
Mhm.
And he's got to be very presentational. His desk and then the desk, your perspective is a little funky, but the desk also should be sort of, what's all this down? Oh, that's the kids. Make those a little more, I think, you know, and I know this, you know, a little more
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
kids. And what was I going to say? What's happening back here?
I took your idea of having like a poster for like a show kind of thing. So it's like the kid made that and then he like put it up on the chalkboard.
Oh, okay, for like a show?
Yeah.
Well, I like that. And then, okay, so like when you're doing something like this desk, Give me some again, I can probably go a little thicker. That top's a little too thick. You know, put a, is there a phone on it? I guess I don't, you know, and then you can have this. This is a little too thick. I'm going to thin it out. You know, a little bit of personality to it, right?
Yes.
People tend to do this too. Like if I have an overhang on the desk, I'm going to make sure I really read that overhang. Does that make sense?
Yes. Mhm.
Make sure that desk is in the right perspective. Then these feet coming in. Is it a woman or a guy?
I'll go with the lady teacher.
Is it? Well, I would just go with whatever can have the silliest looking shoes. Does that make
Okay.
sense?
Yeah. That's a good idea.
You know, and then you could have them. I'd have them sort of facing out this way and facing out that way.
Mm-hmm.
And then, you know, I might make them like penny loafers or something ridiculous. You know what I mean? Oh, you do have a thing here. You know, if that paper's coming down, you know, maybe the corner's raised on it. Maybe it's flipped up over on itself, right?
Yes.
Just to get some nice shapes. And then, you know, the chair, they come down. If you're going to put this, you might want to just put a, you know, lips and then kind of go, this one comes out here. This one kind of comes there. That one kind of goes there. I always put the little handle on
The
it.
adjuster thing. Yeah.
So on and so forth, right?
Mhm.
Maybe there's one back here. Might be too much. And so on and so forth. So, you know, get them. That whole thing of the way he's holding his head in there, that's, you know, hey, you know, that's super presentation. I don't know a better word for it. You know, and even
Yeah, I
his
gotcha.
stance could be, you know, pushed a little bit. You know, get this, you know, you could be leaning into it a little bit. This could be way up here. That's a little too much, but I might push that arm a little bit. And then this one, I would have doing that, you know, where you go ta-da with this hand down.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay, that all makes sense, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, I already did that one. Okay, where's Gavin?
I'm here.
Okay, so this is the one where they're meeting, right?
Yep.
I think it's more this, but you're still not getting the expression that they're both having. Right? Or like her. She's just sort of walking, right?
Yeah, well, last time you told me to take away the expression because you wanted it to be like the
No,
moment.
not take away the expression. It should be a very nuanced expression. Right?
Like,
well, that she's sort of like just taken aback by it.
Yeah. Yeah, before you just said that it was too much, like she was too scared.
Right. I don't think she should be scared. I think she should just be sort of like, just what, you know, what is that? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It doesn't need to be a real, like he can be kind of just happy or whatever. Also, we got to get, some bit of personality worked out on that face, right?
Yeah, I was trying to just focus like more on the layout.
That's fine. Yeah, at this point, that's fine. I don't know what to do with that one. Then we'll get that. Is she an adult?
I was thinking, yeah.
So you can definitely get that size relationship going, right?
All right.
I mean, there's a couple ways you can handle it. She could, and it might be too subtle, but she could be like sort of like looking over her glasses, like things like that, that this is not normal. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I'm trying to think if I can think of something that has not silhouette. I think your layout is more or less this, but now you just got to work out this. It's mostly her expression. He can just be sort of oblivious. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm all stoked he's taking his alligator to school, but it's got to be all about her reaction. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'd probably, if I'm going to do a poodle, I'd probably do the big poodle craziness. Right?
Yeah.
You know, the big puffy stuff and the big puffy legs.
And for the background, do you think I should just leave it like kind of simple like that, or do you think I should add more in the very back, like where it's white?
I'd leave it simple, and I'm wondering if you need this sign.
Yeah, I was
Like
trying
give
to
him
tie it
some,
into school
give him
thing.
some stuff that kids, you know, when they're going to school, do they have backpacks? So they, you know, what do they have, right?
Yeah.
I'd also watch this because it feels like this tail is tipped up just to keep it from going off the page, right?
Yeah.
So I'd figure out like some way maybe I can get that tail to feel more natural, but still fun. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And this one's definitely got to get bigger, I think, because she's an adult. And then it's just all about the expression. Just the sort of, so not even surprised, just sort of taken aback kind of thing. Does that make sense?
Yep.
I'd really focus on her because I think this guy's going to be a lot easier because he's not, I mean, I want to get that fleshed out too, but you got to get a little more shape to that going on, right?
Yeah.
You know, and this shoe could be sort of, I could see the bottom of his sole there. Just to make it a little more interesting, maybe push it out a little more. That's probably too far. So on and so forth. Okay.
All right.
Now over this break, because we're not going to meet Monday, if you need to show me stuff, send it to me. Yeah.
All right. Sounds good.
I might not be able to get, like, if I'm not home or something, I'll still get to it. I just won't get to it as fast.
All right.
But I probably will be. I'm going to go out painting, so I don't know if I'm going to be, if I go on a road trip or something, I don't know. Okay. But I always have my computer with me, so I'll end up in a hotel or something. Okay. Which one do we decide on, Ian?
I decided to make I'm trying to pick either the top middle or the right top.
This one?
Yeah.
What's going on there?
Like,
what is
actually,
it?
I want to go with the top one, the middle one.
What's happening here?
They have an introduction.
I think this one, is he in the aquarium here?
Yeah.
Okay, so before you had it where he looked like he was going to eat him or something, but I think this one maybe could work because he's not eating anything. But what I would do is the fish tank, and I like that the fish are crammed over here and he's here, but I think I'd put him like, you know, where he's sort of lazing around in it.
Mm-hmm.
And then his tail could come out. His tail could even go to the floor and spin around. Have his legs.
Mhm.
So he's sort of almost like taking a bath.
Yeah. Or taking a chill.
Or yeah, that.
I just look at one of the reference of the sketches, like how big or how skinny he is.
Well, you got to design that.
Yeah.
You know, so have him lounging in there. Have his hand hanging out here. Maybe the other one's over here. And the fish are squished over here. And that could work.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah. Awesome. Thanks anyway.
Yeah, that'll be fun actually.
Yeah.
Okay. Where's Julia?
Right here, Professor.
Okay, we're doing the one pushing them up the hill. What's new here?
So, for the second one, that's the one we chose. What we were talking about, and instead of the sign, I added some flowers to the side, and to fill in that space, I added some clouds and some trees there.
All right, that's cool, but start getting these guys worked out.
Sounds good.
Okay?
Mhm.
Like he's got a very short snout.
Yeah.
And again, that could work stylistically. I mean, I'm not saying I want you guys to push the designs. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So sometimes it could work. Just got to be from a design perspective. It's got to look interesting.
Sounds good.
Got to get some weight on that kid.
Yeah, will do.
Is it Leah? Am I saying that right?
Yes.
People want to say Leia, like Princess Leia.
Yeah, I get that a lot.
Yeah, I'm sure you do.
My problem was that my staging was like really bad and like my ideas wasn't good enough. I just
What did we land on? Did we land on anything?
So my idea was just the alligators taking something, but you said if it's not working, you should, branch out and do other things. So I just did whatever. Like, it's taking sticks, it's taking dolls, it's
Wait, were these the ones
ripping up.
Did you send me an email?
Yeah.
Sorry about that, because I haven't been home very much.
Oh, it's okay. I sent it to you on a
on class day, I remember.
Yeah.
Okay, so the idea was so let's just go through it.
The alligator took something. The first one is the rodeo idea that you told me. You suggested.
Right.
And
what's happening here?
The alligator took the purse of the teacher, and then like the teacher is like mad, and all the other kids was like trying to protect them.
I think what's going on here. Okay, what's happening here?
The kids are in the alligator's mouth, and yeah, the drawing is kind of atrocious right now. And then the teacher is just chasing after him.
What's happening here?
So, because I was thinking about like nature show and tell, like they can have like fish decorations all over the room, and then like the alligator just latched onto one, and then like the ribbons are like the tissue paper textured things.
You see how complicated that explanation's getting?
Yeah.
Right? This is what I think. Okay, what's this one?
Just knocking over things.
This one?
Taking a backpack. Yeah.
So we keep going back to this idea, correct?
Yeah.
And then what's happening here?
The alligator took the stick from the other kids, and then.
So you're sort of iterating that same idea, right?
Yeah, just taking things or.
Yeah, what's happening here?
The alligator took the doll, and then like the the teacher's like leaning out of frame and leaning back into frame.
What's happening here?
The alligator teared up the cat, like the seat like thing, and then the teacher got mad. And
I think you're sort of treating them too much like what an alligator might do in a weird way.
yeah,
What's happening here?
it's the same idea as the last one. It's like hanging on to the decorations in the room.
And here, what's happening?
Took someone's lunchbox. And there's like a little sandwich there.
I think out of all these, but this then, because she's here and she's annoyed, right?
Yeah.
And then he's sort of, knows he's been caught, obviously, right?
Yeah. And the kid is like hiding behind him.
And he could have, I think he could maybe do this one. Make the, you'd have to make this sandwich like big and fun looking, right?
Mhm.
I think if maybe, hang on. Shit, I'm on the same layer. Hang on. If maybe, actually, this is what I think. If this one was going to work, I don't know if I can do it on this drawing.
My face is too awful.
If you did, do you know that kind of, I don't know the word for it, that kind of smile when somebody's caught and they're kind of like, hey, that kind of thing?
Yeah.
I think that could work because it's not, ooh, I'm being scolded, but it's just sort of like, and then you could sort of do this. And then I would also have, these feet like that, probably more kid-like. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
And then I would probably have, again, what do kids take their lunch to school in?
Maybe like a tuna sandwich.
No, but what do they take? What do they use for lunch boxes now?
I don't know.
Candace?
Like Paw Patrol.
Well, I'm going to say, could it be, I'm just going to use the lunch boxes. I don't know what else to use right now. Could there be this open? Maybe he's got another one over here. Maybe he's gone through a few lunch boxes. That makes sense?
Yeah.
And then you might have more of a gag there, but it's all going to be, again, this is going to be like what we were just talking about with the other one. It's really going to be about that expression. Yeah?
Yeah.
What's the matter?
I really like the one where he like hangs on to like the room decor, like, but
I just don't think there's enough there.
yeah.
I don't think there's like enough of a narrative there. I mean, if you can make it happen, that's cool. But by next week, I want to get these things started. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I actually think this visually can work. Right?
Yeah, I can I do you think it'll be better if I make the alligator a little smaller and then like the teacher leaning back into the frame like my other one?
Like which one?
So it would be like the teacher going off frame on the right side of the page and then coming back in on the left, the face.
Which one is it?
I don't remember. Let me pull it
But
up.
it's one of these?
Yeah, I have it right here. It's like the second row to the bottom, that one.
This one here?
There's the second one, like second one to the bottom on the right.
Second one to the bottom. So this one.
Yeah, where the teacher like
This
leans
one?
back into like the frame on the left.
But is that the same thing as his eating something?
No, just like the teacher leaning in part, like make the alligator smaller on the top. Like,
Oh, you okay? So you're talking about taking this idea to
Yeah.
this one, right?
yeah, where the teacher leans back into the frame.
I don't think you need any more than this teacher in this posture.
Oh,
You know what I mean?
yeah.
Because I mean, that posture says everything. To me, it's all about the alligator. I don't care about the teacher other than she's an authority figure.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I mean, that's my suggestion because this works as a composition and it can work as a visual for that verbiage. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But now you got to go, okay, I also got to fit type in there, right? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So I might go, wait. Why is it doing that, man? Hang on. Might need to get a little more, just the whole thing, sort of a little more. To get enough room for the type or something, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then the type can go somewhere. Or something. Does it make sense?
Yes.
Okay, so are you going to do that one or which one?
I might run through like a few iterations of the other one, but I think I'm pretty much gonna do that one. Just yeah.
Well, that's the one with the strongest idea. Does that make
Yeah.
sense?
Yeah.
Because if it's just sort of like, yeah, he's grabbing stuff, it's like, okay. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I kind of like the alligator with the messed up chair.
Again, though, see what what I was going to say is that's starting to feel to me like more like this is what an alligator would actually do if you put an alligator in a room. Does that make sense?
Mm.
And less about a fantastical jumping off into silliness. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And I think when you're going to do this kind of thing, and by the way, I'd put his feet like this. I'd tilt them too. When you're doing this kind of thing, you got to get away from doing this thing where you're like, okay, I'm just sort of illustrating what happened. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
There's got to be a concept there. There's got to be an idea, you know? So if you just go, hey, the alligator came in the room and he chewed up the chair. Okay. You know what I mean?
Mm.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Because then you just start where you're just going, and this is something that everybody usually has to learn that are doing whatever, illustration, things like that, is not just to illustrate something, just sort of rendering what's happening. Like, give me an angle to it. Give me a concept. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And that one, you had a concept, which I think holds together pretty good.
All right.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. Wait, do I have a second one? Oh, no, that's you. Well, I'm getting through these fast tonight. Okay, where's Lucy?
Yo.
Huh?
Hello.
What do you think?
I feel like I'm getting the hang of it, like breaking down the alligators.
Okay.
Like I started stylizing and I came up with some good alligators.
Which ones are stylized, would you say?
Oh, none of those. I'm
okay.
talking about like right now.
Oh, okay. I mean, any of these, and I know I got a few things stuck in my head now. I'm going to pull that out a little bit. You can see how easy it is just to go in and start playing with these things, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, good. If you feel like you're getting the hang of it, I'm happy then.
All right.
You see how like going in and learning the shape language makes sense?
Yeah.
If you don't do that, you're kind of screwed. Anyway. And then try not to hang too much on the outline here, yeah?
All right.
Like this one. Some of them you're drawing through. This one feels a little bit on the outline. What's going to happen if you, and I probably said this, but when you draw on the outline too much, it will disconnect. It'll flatten. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I could see that happening.
Yeah, it'll flatten and it'll disconnect. Whereas if I'm thinking about how the forms, well, you know, like if we're doing, I think we talked about this. I'm doing this and the shoulders can come up through the head. And I'm going to draw through this form. And I'm going to just keep drawing through things because I want these things to connect with other parts of the body or the other parts of the form. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So you know what you're going for, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And then we're going to start plugging it into our drawing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right on. So I want to get to start getting to paint. Okay, where are you at?
Okay, so you told me to play around with the sizes and then maybe try to bring it into the classroom setting if I could.
Bring in
So,
what? Oh, the classroom, yeah.
Yeah. So the first one, it's the same scene, just
Sure.
made, the alligator bigger. And then the other ones, I just wanted to see if I could bring it into the classroom. Same situation where, the alligator's kind of hiding. The kid's getting scolded by the kid. So the second one and the third and fourth, they're kind of just the same thing, but different angles.
What's he doing here?
He's kind of just hiding behind the desks.
See, I'm not getting that he's hiding. Does that make sense?
True. Yeah. So like in the fourth one, the very last one, I mean, the sketch was a little bit rough, but I kind of wanted him like hiding underneath the desk, but obviously he's way too big, so the desks are kind of like everywhere, and yeah.
I mean, that kind of makes sense, but I think it's got to be more like oh, I know what's going on. Hang on. A little more like maybe he's looking a little worried. You don't want to make him too worried. But maybe he's got this bigger thing. Maybe his tail goes around. I don't know what the pose is yet. But then maybe it's too high, probably. Maybe the desk is completely up here. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I mean that's what I was kind of go for, but I wasn't really.
Yeah, you just
drawing
got
it correctly.
You just got to push it. And by the way, if you notice what I do, I throw down a bunch of lines and try and start to figure out how it's going to work. Does that make sense?
Yeah, just to see. And
yeah, half the time it doesn't work, and I just kind of keep readjusting shapes and but and then what you really got to get here, it's the same thing as what we've been talking about some of the other ones. You got to really convey the expression here that he's kind of hiding, right?
Yeah.
And then you got the teacher here. I guess if you have the teacher here, that's going to help. But you really got to get the sense that he's trying to be under the desk, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or, you could even play with it now where it goes, maybe the desk isn't here. Maybe the desk is over his head a little bit, but the rest of him sticking out behind it. That might work. Yeah?
Yeah.
Because if it's up, I'm afraid if it's up on his back, it might disconnect. But if he's sticking it, it's like an ostrich sticking his head in the ground.
Yeah.
That kind of thing, right? That could work. And then you have this teacher in here. And then there's a few things around the room that have been knocked over and stuff, right?
Yeah, I was thinking of putting like trash cans, just kind of trash everywhere and stuff like that.
Yeah, and it could also just be oops.
backpacks and rulers. And
Yeah, it could also be a. God damn it, hang on. Like a chair, knocked over. Because if you get a couple of bigger items in there, you're going to have to put less. Because what you don't want to do is have little tiny stuff all over the place, right?
yeah.
So you want to get a couple of bigger things in here. That'll make a lot of the statement for you. That, and then figure out it'd be further over here, and then she's leaning in. And you're done, and you're out. Yeah?
Yeah, yeah.
I think
Thank
if
you.
he's got his head under the thing and then the rest of him sticking out of it and all that, that could work.
Okay.
And that gets him back into the classroom.
Yeah.
So, and by the way, so like here, you've got a starting point already for your stylization, right?
Mm-hmm.
You keep doing this big snout thing, which is fun. But now just add enough to it where when you're painting it, you got some meat on the bone, right?
Yeah.
Because that's the main thing. What I don't want to happen, and by the way, there's nothing wrong with a style that's, very flat and just wash it. There's nothing wrong with that, but I want more than that for this project.
Okay.
I want to have a little bit of, stuff to paint. Hang on. I want to take a screenshot of this room. I'm going to delete Candace Lou out of here.
Why are you always picking on me?
I don't know.
Hi, Candace.
Hi.
Heyo.
Okay, so that's, wait, did you give me, oh no, okay. Hang on.
Hey, Mike, I'm totally using your tracing paper trick right now.
What you doing?
For my for ramping it up, I just was like, you know what, screw it, I'm gonna go 11 by 17, and I'm just gonna use like the layered tracing paper and just.
I love that process.
Oh man.
Yeah?
Yeah, it's fantastic. Like the only job I've actually been paid for in the last couple of years was doing this. They saw my project in your class and was like, we want to hire you. And I was like, okay.
Yeah, it shows you can draw. You know what I mean? Does that make sense?
Yep.
Plus, it's just, I don't know. To me, that's just like getting back in the sandbox and being a kid to me. You know what I mean? And plus that paper, that sketch, you got the roll paper?
Yeah.
That stuff, I love that paper. Like you put that under, put a couple of sheets of paper, put it on a drawing board, and you got that soft paper underneath it, and maybe another sheet of trace underneath that stuff with a nice soft pencil. And plus it just erases right off. So when you're like designing, you can just knock stuff right off of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's great stuff. Okay, where are you at?
That's me, Natalie.
Oh, these are fun. Oh, these are like those little ones I was talking about, aren't they? Like the little pet ones?
Yeah.
They
Smaller
don't still
ones.
sell those anymore, do they?
Not that I know of.
Probably in Florida.
Probably.
Lawless, Florida.
Freaking Florida.
I had a friend of mine, he had a squirrel monkey when I was a kid. And, squirrel monkey doesn't want to live with you. So it was angry. He came over to his house one time. It was, it was running around the room, jumped on my shoulder and like bit me in the neck.
Oh.
And now you look at that, and if that happened now, everybody would have lost their mind. You know what I mean? So it would have been like, who knows what diseases that thing's got? It might have rabies for all we know. And like nobody even cared, Hated that monkey, man. I mean, I felt bad for it because it wasn't his fault, but okay, I love these.
Thank you. Yeah, I was just doing some exploration of like stylization, and mostly what I changed in the
I like that one.
sketches. That's the one I kind of based it off of. That one and the tiny one on the bottom left.
Yeah, it's this one. That's pretty balanced.
Mm.
Let's flip it.
Oh.
Yeah, it's pretty balanced. I think this leg, I don't know if it needs that. Now, sometimes it doesn't matter if you could actually see it. It just looks good and it's fine.
Yeah, that's kind of why I put it. I don't think you'd actually be able to see it.
I don't think you need it,
Okay.
but I get it. Okay, so we're in the refining process now, right?
Yeah, I mostly worked on the alligator because that's what I was like lacking with last time.
Here's what I would be careful of is that things are starting to get a little bit stiff now, right?
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it's
You
been.
want Here's the big trick with this whole thing, and part of the reason I make such a big deal out of this is you really have to learn how to do a finished drawing for like a painting or whatever. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And you've really got to learn how to keep that vitality in it and that spontaneity in it, and it's a trick. Okay, I mean it's a tricky thing to do because it's real easy for this stuff to get away from you, and all of a sudden you started squeezing all the life out of it. Does that make sense? Which is why I work the way I work. Like every part of my process, whether it's painting or illustration or any of that stuff, I've got a technique to keep my drawing reasonably fresh. Does that make sense? If I'm painting on a canvas, I go straight onto the canvas with acrylic, right? And then I use gesso. And if I put a line down I don't like, I'll either carve the line out with a little bit of gesso or I'll paint that line out completely and I'll redraw stuff. So when I get done with that painting on the canvas, that's my drawing. I don't have to transfer anything. That's it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
But I have a lot of leeway to play with it. And it's the same thing with this, where I want to keep all that loose stuff in my drawing. And then that's why I do a rub down, because it keeps all that stuff in my drawing. Does that make sense? I'm not trying to recapture it. Then I'll go back in and reinforce it because I'm going to have to, because it'll transfer pretty light. But that's not hard for me, because now I can just go right back to the back of this pencil and start sort of, I don't trace it. I just start pulling things out of it again. So the whole process is sort of throwing stuff down, pulling things out of it and refining it, throwing stuff down, pulling things out of it and refining it until I'm finished. Does that make sense? Now that's my process. And you know, and again, you'll find your own, but it works pretty good. My whole process, if I had to define it, is pattern recognition, right? My whole process is based on when you look into clouds and you see a unicorn chasing a whale, that's how I work. Okay. So I throw stuff down and then my brain starts going, oh yeah, there's the eye right there. Okay. I'll start pulling that. Okay. And then that's kind of the shoulder. Start pulling that out. And I'm throwing it down with some sort of purpose, but it's super loose. And then my pattern recognition brain turns on and I start pulling the stuff out of it that I need. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And that's, you know, you got to find a technique that allows you to kind of keep it fresh and loose. You know, that's why when I was saying, when I do the final drawing or whatever for something like this, and I flip it backwards, by flipping it backwards, I'm already losing some of the, it's going to ghost it a little bit because it's on the other side of the page. Right.
Yeah.
And then I'll usually put one or usually two sheets of trace over that. So it ghosts it back a little bit. So now I got to go in there and sort of refine and find all that stuff again. And then that's my final drawing. And I'm because it's flipped now, I'm working backwards. So I'm seeing all the stuff that's wrong with it.
Yeah.
I'm refining all that stuff at the same time. So that's pretty much my last pass at like, okay, I can keep adjusting here and refining, but I'm sort of, now I'm heading towards finish. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
It's why I spend so much time up front on this, because you have to learn this process. Otherwise, whatever you do with color or whatever doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Okay. I went to this guy. Go ahead.
That's kind of what I did, like what you do with the tracing paper. That's almost what I did, like digitally, because I've sketched this a couple times and then I like knocked down the opacity really, really low and I flipped it, and then
sure.
I think the teacher's getting stiff, but I feel like the boy at least has some movement. And
yeah, where I'd say I'd work on it is
And I think the teacher's more stiff because I actually sketched the teacher on paper and then I transferred it to digital. And I find that whenever I go from paper to digital, it becomes stiff for some reason. But the boy, and the alligator.
Why take it from paper to digital?
I don't know. I was just drawing the teacher in my sketchbook and then I was like, oh, this is a good one. Okay.
I'm going to see some of the bottom of the sole of her foot there. Do you see that?
Yeah, the foot definitely felt
weird. So you got to have that. Get this kind of right.
Yeah.
There's going to probably be a little bit of that.
Oh, and I forgot to do like the multiple like faded of the foot. So
the only thing for me, and this is just my thing. This kind of forces me to stay sort of here. Now I can draw loose like that, but it's nothing like if I go to a pencil and I'm back here.
Yeah.
And the way I can twist a pencil and the way I can push a pencil and the way I can get all these different marks and everything with a pencil, you just can't do it with digital. Now that's not to say you can't do it with digital. I'm not saying that. But what I might do here, or what I was going to say is like here, see how his pants are getting very rigid?
Yeah.
There might be a little flip right there where where it goes into his knee. There could be a little pull fold that way, maybe. Yeah. Now that kind of stuff. I might make a bigger statement with the pockets. Usually with this kind of thing, you're going to need to make a little bit. This is good. This radiating fold's pretty good. Let me see if I can find this real quick. Mort Drucker would do these great things with clothes. Look at the clothes. You know what I mean? They feel very natural.
Yeah.
And he's not doing a lot. He's just, again, it goes back to that strategic fold thing.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like just hit those strategic folds. That's all you need. And then he does little things like this with the sleeve where look, this comes down and then this line overlaps it. You see that?
Yeah.
Like that sort of overlappy stuff. He does it again here where this line's cutting in and it overlaps the rest of it. Same thing here. If you look on, he's not doing it here that much. Yeah, here you can see the flip of the other side of the sleeve. All that kind of stuff. You can see this little stair step in a rigid structured suit like that right there. Bing. Like if he pulled his arm up like that, it would really stair step. Like you ever see somebody in a business suit, they go like that. It goes bink, right? Like people leave that stuff out, and it's like, well, it ain't a business suit then, because that's what they do. Some of this guy. I'm going to show you guys a video of him next time. I got to write it down. Here. Oops, that's not what I want. Here. All this business over here. Look at that.
Yeah.
Right? And then it comes down here. This, look at that big mass of fold is going up over this mass behind it. It's just little things like that. You don't need to get that crazy with it, but that kind of thinking. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
It'll loosen. You don't want the, oops. You don't want the stuff to get rigid. Like even here, he's adding like this little bump and that little bump and that, and then these like compression folds or pull folds right there. So on, and then he does a lot of this little wing, that little, right? That's just his thing though. You don't worry about that. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah, I can see what you mean with the shorts.
Face isn't bad. And then remember, some of this stuff you're just going to do with the paint. You know what I mean? Like you got to remember that. Like just design it out where you got what you need. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So how much more do you like? What else do I need to do with this to get it to the point where it would be ready to paint?
I would do things like, now it would be a bunch of passes when I got it this far, where I'm going to start making sure that everything's sort of getting got enough style and stuff to it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So like I might push this a little more.
Right. Yeah, the background right now is just very straight.
This will probably make a bigger statement.
Mm.
This would get a bigger statement.
Yeah.
Want to make sure I'm reading all this. This would get a bigger. So it's really about where can I make big statements. This I'd curve a little bit the inside of the book. I do something probably with the desk. This isn't too bad. Make sure I get, if these are kids, I need to know they're kids.
Yeah.
I'd probably knock this back, this leg here. It's starting to feel like it's got a brick underneath it or something. Does that make sense?
Which leg?
This one right here.
Oh.
This is really
Oh.
wide. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So I'd go, this is pretty good. I like this stool. That's nice. This is pretty good. I might have one of these where maybe the edge is curling up or something. It's been on the wall a long time. And I'd probably break up, you know, give one or two of them a diagonal like that.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
This a little fatter. You don't want timid statements in something like this, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then I'd come in here and I'd start refining this guy. So what I would do now is I would bring it up to the next level, like this kind of stuff where we see the bottom of the shoe and all this stuff we just did. Then I might bring that up and I'd probably like ghost all of it down again, and I'd take a pass and I'd start refining this alligator.
Mm.
That'd be my next thing I'd start refining.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just, again, I'm just going through the thing and plussing and refining and plussing and refining, right?
Mm-hmm.
Making sure things, a big one in this kind of thing is making sure this is making big enough statements. By the way, just adding that bottom to the shoe helped out a lot.
Yeah, it looks a lot better for sure.
But again, the reason I'm pointing that out is it's small stuff,
Mm-hmm.
right? I don't think this line right here of this fold needs to go all the way to the edge.
Oh yeah, I can just kind of
Yeah, I think it could just probably end. And then maybe, you know, there's going to be a little bit of a shadow value there.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe a little, maybe here. A little bit of a shadow there. And then maybe I think maybe this. I'm going to flatten this, which I would never do normally. You don't want to flatten this. You know that, right?
Yeah.
And this might be another case where it's like, does it need to just be? No, maybe not. Yeah, I thought maybe it was.
Like the angle.
Yeah. Maybe it's the size a little bit. I don't know what it is. Or maybe, let's see if we can do this. Shit, where is it? I know they have it in here. Hang on. See what's going on. Okay.
Oh, also I like adjusted it so that the text could fit better. Does that look better?
Yeah, I still think it's a little too cramped. Well, if it's just text, when it becomes text, a block of text, it'll probably work a little better. Right now, it feels very squashed into the corner. But when you put text in it, you should be able to move it out a little. But what I would do is what I said last time. I would knock out that area so it's just white or whatever, and then I'd actually put real text in and see how it looks
Right.
in Photoshop or
And
whatever.
then the final piece, you didn't want us to actually like leave a spot for text, did you?
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Okay.
Because I want you guys to think about gutters. I want you guys to think about text. I want you guys to, because those things are part of it.
Now, Mike, when you're talking about like knocking it all out in white, would it be cool to do like a soft edge there where where
could,
the color just kind of vignettes off?
Yes.
Okay.
Like
cool.
like a low opacity white with like a soft edge.
Yeah.
Yeah, you could totally do that. They do that kind of stuff all the time. Okay, Natalie, does that all make sense?
Yes. So
I don't think that girl is that far off. There's just one little thing with that leg is bugging me. I'm not sure what it is.
No, I get what you mean.
I'm trying to find, go ahead.
I think it might be that it needs to be more forward than the other leg.
I could find this stupid tool in here. Hang on. It's a new tool, so I don't know where it is.
I think they're kind of like on the same plane. So if I brought it forward, I think.
Yeah, a little bit. That's actually part of it. Yeah. Oh, there it is. Okay. So it's under here. There it is. Sometimes this works, sometimes it doesn't.
Well.
Oops. Nah, that's not it. I think it might be more what you just said.
Just bringing it forward more.
Actually, I don't know. Straightening it out a little bit helped. Do you see what I mean?
Actually, now that I think about it, she's angled with the tapping foot toward like the wall, so it wouldn't necessarily be more far forward. Now that I think about it.
Actually, I think straightening out a little bit helped. It's not quite as like warped out that weird way now. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I tend to draw calves like too bent a lot of the time. So
I think that's so. I don't think that's too bad. It's just it was sort of bending forward in a weird way.
I get what you mean.
And then are you going to do the one where there's a ghosted one and a ghosted one, so it looks like it's going.
Yeah, I just forgot about it this time, but yeah, I want to do that.
Okay, cool. All right. Does that all make sense?
Yeah. So next time, like, should it basically be like, should I try to make it like the
Get
final?
it as close to finish as you guys can. Or it's, and I just want to have one more round with you probably.
By maybe like next Monday, it would be.
Well, Monday we're off, so you're going to have a little more time.
Yeah, I mean, the Monday after that would be.
Oh,
like,
yeah. I definitely want to be painting by the following week.
When you say as close to finish as we can get, you don't mean like already blocked in painting, right? You want
No.
like the idea solidified?
I just want to see the drawing.
Okay. Okay. I just wanted to make sure.
And I
just
don't
wanted to
want
make
it
sure.
transferred. None of that.
Okay.
Just I just need to see it and go, okay, you've got everything here. I'll make a couple comments and then okay, we're fine, finish it out.
Okay. Yeah, I just wanted to confirm that. My bad.
No, that's fine.
Professor?
Yeah.
On Wednesday, are we doing watercolor or sketching?
That's what we just said. No, we're doing sketching.
Okay, just checking.
Okay. All right, Natalie. You're pretty close actually. Like tweaking around with that a little bit, you're pretty close.
Yay, cool. Thanks.
It's funny how you find out how it's just little things, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
Almost a lot of the time it's just little things. Okay, this is Olivia. Where you at?
I am right here.
Okay, what do you think?
I just wanted to play with how the alligator would look normally.
Be careful here because he's starting to feel like a Komodo dragon.
Yeah, I want to like give him. I was trying to like play around with the shape, but it didn't come out with exactly how I wanted it to. And I did some more up there, but it's still not working out so far.
Try and get like watch. Let's see if we can do this. Oops. Kids aren't looking bad. Hang on. Like you could, I'm not a big fan of keeping going over the same things, but damn it. So we could take this back. Oops. Yeah, we could take this back a little bit. Come back up here. And then I might just go really fast. And I've got certain shapes stuck in my head. So right now I'm just going to the same shapes, but I'd be looking at a little bit alligator reference. And start getting some personality in here. Don't get these like, what do you call that? These really hard corners. Probably put this and do something fun with the tail. Go away. Okay, there we go. These are going to be a lot smaller, closer to the ground. And try and get like a little bit of a little more stylized pass on them. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And I'm not spending a lot of time on it. And to me, it's like, okay, that's one idea, right?
Yeah.
And then I can go, well, maybe I like the face. What if he was... Keep making him mean looking for some reason. Let's take this guy. Because then I might go, well, maybe I don't want him sort of in that naturalistic pose. So then I might go, what? Can I make him standing up? Right?
Yeah.
And then I'll just try that. And that's another idea, right? Where's the other foot going to go? How's that going to work? That's not working yet. I'd have to figure that out. And so on and so forth. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I do a lot, if you notice, like I've said, throwing things down and working over them and refining them and pulling things out of them. Yeah?
Yeah.
So if I have something to start with, if you notice, if I have something to start with, I can usually pull something out of it. Might not be what I want to do, but I'm pulling something out of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely.
Too fat. Does it come up here? I don't know. And I just draw these shapes because what's the big deal, right? It doesn't cost me any money. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Just trying stuff. The worst thing that's going to happen is it doesn't work, which is fine.
Yeah, I need to get into the habit of drawing more animal cartoons because I always fall back on making them a little more realistic looking.
That's part of the process. it's part of what I talked about when I said transitions and things like that. When you're going in and take an animal drawing or any of that stuff, and it's like, that's great, but then you got to be able to come out and do this with it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Because you see it all the time, like they know all their anatomy, but it's like, yeah, but you can't draw animals worth of crap. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If you know all that, you know, it's great to know all that stuff because it really does help. But if you don't then take it and go, okay, now I'm going to go to the zoo maybe and draw these animals in motion, or maybe if they're not in motion, I'm going to put them into motion. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like we used to do that all the time. We go to the zoo and they'd be laying there and we'd make them, you know, like they were running or whatever they were doing. Okay.
Okay.
And then start applying it to this. And when you figure it out, then, you know, if I figure out that, like we were talking about before, where he's got these big cheekbones and maybe that cheekbone's there in the foreground, and then it's going to come this way. See that?
Yeah.
And then I'm put my teeth in here. There's his shoulder. There's those ridges on his back. Some texture. You know, am I going to see an arm? And I don't know. I'm just throwing it in there. I don't like that. I like yours better. You know, and then this kid, just to really make a statement. Like one thing I would do is I'd really be aware of the hands. You know, are they presentational? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And they probably would be, because, you know, you're up here going, yeah, you know, you're going to do all the showbiz tropes, right? Jazz hands and all that. Okay, does that make sense?
Yeah, it definitely does.
See, look, and just add that face on there. Look how much that plussed it. Right?
Yeah, it definitely makes it more cartoony looking.
Yeah, it just looks more, a little more finished. And by the way, so what I'm doing is I sort of started knowing that cheekbone's right there. What that helps me do, if I'm doing this right, if I do that, and I'm just going to do the same shape. If I do that where I got this alligator, and then there's that sort of cheekbony thing and this. Well, then if I turn it around, I can go, well, I know that cheekbone's there, right? So that means the nose is starting somewhere in here and jutting out from there. And then I can bring this up like that. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
So what I'm doing is I'm just placing the masses, just like a 3D model, in front of each other. And that's how I build the basic geometry, right?
Yeah.
And that to me is what you got to start seeing, is start to see these things as the shapes and understand how the shapes work, because then you'll see it as a model in your head and you'll go, oh, I'm going to turn that around. That mass is going to be in front of that mass. Or if I'm doing a down view of it, the whole thing's going to come at me a little bit, but that head is going to bury a little bit of the chest. The nose and the mouth is going to get closer. The bottom of the nose will get closer to the eyes. The eyebrow, the brow ridge is going to conceal the eyes a little more. The ears are going to go up, all that stuff, because I know how that stuff is stacking on each other just from a real logical perspective. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And that's why it's so important. And then, like, if you're doing a children's book, by the way, those characters got to look consistent from page to page, right? Yeah.
Yeah,
So
definitely.
you got to know how they're built, right?
Right.
Because the first thing the publisher is going to say, the art director, whoever, they're going to go, how come these look like different characters on every page? You know?
Yeah.
And obviously, you don't want that. You don't want anybody getting on your back about it. Okay, I've gone through everybody's. That was actually pretty fast. They're looking pretty good. I think you guys are doing fine. And again, when we get to the next thing, we won't take this long on the front end. Does that make sense?
Yes.
And does everybody understand? Again, I just want to really reiterate this stuff. Why I'm doing this. You have to know how to make a finished drawing, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's one of the number one things I see that people don't know how to do. And it's common, okay? And I know all of you have had this experience where you're in some, maybe it's character design or something. Hey, I want clean line drawings of those things, and they fall apart. I'm sure you've had that happen, because I've sure this all had to happen to me a million times. And you just go, oh, that drawing just, it's just not balanced. Really, the number one thing is it's not balanced somehow, probably, or or you didn't flesh it out enough, or you're picking the wrong lines, or whatever it is. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
And also to start develop your process where you go, I need to know how much I need to have for this to be paintable. Does that make sense? Because you don't want to start painting some unpaintable drawing, because it's just gonna look like crap. You know what I mean? I mean, there's no point in painting a bad drawing. And I was going to say this earlier. Hopefully I haven't said this. I used to go to this guy's studio because he used to have a life drawing group. And he was one of those neo-realist guys that, like, they all try to paint like whatever the realist movement was, like, I don't know, 300 years ago or something, where they paint like a violin and a silver pot and all that crap. Super, super hyper, sort of rendered out, realistic, whatever you want to call it. And he would spend all this time on these big oil paintings that they were hanging in a studio. And I never said this to him, but I used to go in there and look at it and go, you spent like 3 weeks painting that thing every day for like 3 days or 3 weeks or whatever, 8 hours a day, whatever, like a lot of time. And the drawing sucked. So he did all this like glazing techniques and all these like 300-year-old glazing techniques and all that stuff. At the end of the day, it was a crappy drawing. It was a crappy painting. Does that make sense? It's the same thing. I used to look at it and go, why would you do that? Like, why would you put all that time on that thing with a lousy drawing underneath it? Because it's never going to work. Okay. And it's no different here. We got to have a nice, good finished drawing. And my finished drawings are still have a lot of my construction lines in it because I like that in my final drawing. Does that make sense? So it's not this, we're not doing cleanup line like an animation. We're not going in there and going, we just got to have a nice finished drawing that feels natural and it's got, it's composed well, designed well, and it's ready to, everything's worked out. Does that make sense? Yeah. Your stylistic approach is your own. I don't care about that. But like I said earlier, I don't want to get, stuff that's just going to be flat washes. Now, if your style turns into like you do flat washes and stuff, that's fine. But that's not in here. Does that make sense? Because I'm not doing you any favors if I do that. Next week, I'm probably going to start talking much more about the watercolor process. Okay. And today or tomorrow, I will put up the video on the transfer process just to get your, it's probably a 15-minute video maybe. So you can start wrapping your head around that. And hopefully, and then maybe I'll even put up the stretching process. You guys want me to put that up too?
Sure.
I think it's good to look at the stuff way before you have to do it. Does that make sense? So you kind of know what you're working towards. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Any other questions?
I had a question about my attendance, Mike. I messaged you about it.
And what was it again? Didn't I already change your attendance?
Last time I checked my grade, it was still the same.
Which day was it?
It was, I think it was maybe last week. Yeah, or last class. It was the most recent grading.
It was the most recent one? Hang on.
I think so.
So that would have been the 8th?
Let me check.
We're an illustration. Here's the 8th. Attendance. Did I mark you out?
I just got 96 out of 100 for one. I don't know why, but I haven't been late or left early or anything. So.
But you didn't check to see if like, am I missing you on here? 'Cause I don't see you on here.
Yeah, it doesn't say.
So this is the one that I take when I first come into the room. Because if you notice, they're marked red. And then anybody that comes in after that, there you are right there. So you came in late.
Oh.
Right? When I come in this room, if you guys ever notice, I come in right on the dot of the time and I screen grab this room right at that. So 6:30, boom, I screen grab the room. Does that make sense?
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. Any other questions? No?
Nope.
Okay. I think you guys are doing fine. I don't want anybody lost. If anybody needs to get a hold of me, then tell me, while we're off. And again, I will get to you as quick as I can. Because sometimes I might want to do, if I want to do a quick overlay, then I got to be here more or less. I guess I could do it on my iPad. And again, I should be here. I just don't know if I'm going to go on a road trip or something. Does that make sense? But I'll have a computer with me. So don't get stopped. Talk to me, okay? Or if you go like, hey, I think this drawing's almost finished, send it to me. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay, and all we're doing is we're trying to get these things pushed as far as we can. Because you have, what's today? Wednesday?
It is.
You guys have an entire week. You know what I mean? So if I were you, I'd be buckling down on this thing, right? Does anybody else have other classes? Okay, those classes aren't important, right? Only mine is. So you don't need to do any of that work. You just do this.
I was gonna say I have a class with Phil.
Yeah, that doesn't matter.
Yeah, just tell Phil that Mike said you don't need to do your homework for that
Yeah,
class.
you don't need to do that. You just need to do mine.
I'll let him know. I'll let him know.
All right, what class is it?
I think it's like character design.
You think? You're not sure?
It's fundamental of character. I don't know the exact thing. I think it's fundamental
okay.
of character
It's
design.
character design.
Yeah.
Is that your first character design class?
Yeah. I mean, because what's it called? I mean, I pretty much self-taught myself character design by looking up other artists, but I guess technically, yeah, my first character design class at all.
Yeah, there's a lot to that. Okay. Have you taken life drawing?
Yeah, when you're on your rant with life drawing, I had a feeling who it was, but I assume it's not any of the professors that are in life drawing.
Well, life drawing to me is my main point with that is it's a lot. I know that sounds stupid, but it's a lifelong thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You need to be doing that all the time. Like if you can get in front of a model, get in front of a model because it's going to improve everything you do. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And those fundamental breakdowns of like drawing through the form, gesture, exaggeration, all that stuff. It applies to everything. It's what I'm doing in here whenever I'm drawing over these things and doing these loose drawings. That really came out of that. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
It's gesture. You might be drawing a car, but to me, it's sort of gesture. Period. I'm trying to get that big action done first, right?
Yeah, we pretty much like drew like sculpture faces or just items, and we were just kind of wrap around. We never had a model. Like I really want to try a model.
Yeah, why didn't you have a model?
I don't know.
Huh.
I wasn't too sure. I was expecting to do a model, but we mostly did just like objects.
You have to have
the closest thing we ever did to a model is like a sculpture. We just had to draw that.
Was that the one where it's just all about the anatomy?
I think it was, yeah.
Okay, that's a little bit different. Like life drawing, you've got to draw from a nude model.
Okay.
In the room live. You have to do that. All of you have to do that. Okay.
Yeah.
If you want to know what teachers to take or whatever, then talk to me about it. But you have to do that. Okay.
Yeah.
Learn the fundamentals of that. And then it's again the same thing I always say. It's like learn the fundamentals of that and then repetition, 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 repetition. Yeah.
Yes.
When I was in college, they had a workshop, and I can't remember if it was every day, like in the middle of the day. It was just an open workshop. If I had open time, I was in that room drawing. So was everybody who was like serious. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then when I got out of school, I went, oh, wow, that's a luxury. You're used to it because you're in college and you have access to a model all the time. So then I went and found drawing groups, and I found certain ones that I liked. Like I went to the drawing club, the one Bob Cotto does out near out in Burbank. I went to that one for a while because I was near it. I was working near it. And then, and then I just found different ones. And I always found one where the the social part of it around it was fun too. So, got to know a few people. It was fun hang. Like once or twice a week, I'd go there and hang out, and I start to know people and stuff, and it was fun. And it was drawing,
Yeah.
But, and there's tons of life drawing groups now. When we get done with this crap with this stupid COVID, there's a lot of them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's a lot of them. There's the one in La Habra. There's one, we do one on Friday nights. That's not nude, but it's still costume figure. It's great. And it's a little bit of a social thing too, which is great. Anyway, so on and so forth. We're all over the place. Huh?
I miss those.
So do I, man. That was my Friday.
Yeah,
that was my
I
Friday.
remember going to one at La Habra.
Yeah, well, the one
Me and my girlfriend went to like one.
Yeah, the one we do on Fridays was my Friday night hang. Like I always look forward to that. And sometimes I paint in there, just fool around, and it's fun to talk to the students outside of a class where everything's loose. You know what I mean?